Hey there, We Can't Wrestle podcast listeners. If you haven't noticed, we have switched our server to Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Highly recommended by me and everybody else here at the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
The We Can't Wrestle podcast. The King listens to it. WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. And you better listen to it too. My friend Nate and the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
You're listening to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Now it's time for our host, Kate Matson.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 115 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you. This week, me and the guys were not able to get together because of Turkey Day and all that jazz, so we don't have any original content with the Stooges this week. However, I have some audio that I think was originally intended for episode 82, I think, of Aaron and myself doing a segment that, of course, because it's us, goes on for like an hour and a half, talking about our 10, we called it Funny Fuckers, our 10, it's not even necessarily wrestling related, the 10 funny, we think are the 10 funniest people to ever live. So I'm going to be playing that audio for you on this week's show so you can listen to it. I kind of cleaned it up from its original. Some of the audio was kind of garbage and things go off the rails, but that's the fun when you're having a podcast. But before we do that, some original content here. I am joined in the We Can't Wrestle studios by my beautiful wife and co-host of the Motley Soup podcast, Kendall Maxon, is here with me.
Hello. Wrestling fans.
Yes, and those of you that listen to the Soup know her voice. Those of you that listen to this show know her voice because she is the moderator of the Trivia Challenge, of which, by the way, Aaron, I am currently the champion.
Yes, you are.
The wrestling trivia champion of my house, essentially. But what I am asking Kendall to do is to be here with me. We've done this before in the past. It was a couple of years ago. We did a Wife Watches Wrestling segment where I had her watch the WWF Royal Rumble 1999 I Quit match between Mankind and The Rock. And we also watched the 1998 Hell in a Cell match between Mankind and The Undertaker. This week I have invited her to watch, it's from March 28th, 1999, WrestleMania 15.
Well, how fitting, because it's episode 115.
There you go, and it's WrestleMania 15. We're going way back to WrestleMania 15. It was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the main event of this show is The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. There were some other matches. It's actually one of my least favorite WrestleManias, but what I wanted you to see, now, at this time, the UFC was kind of just, it had just kind of, it was a thing, but it had only been a thing for maybe, 4 or 5 years. And the WWF decided, WWE, but WWF at the time decided they wanted to capitalize on the mixed martial arts kind of thing. And they actually had their wrestlers go out and do what was called a Brawl for All tournament.
All right.
Volunteers got to volunteer to do it. You weren't forced to do it. So, in other words, your big guys like the Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't take this risk because these guys actually fought each other. They actually fought each other, tried to do takedowns and knockouts and things like that, actual scoring like boxing and mixed martial arts have. Well, the guy that won the whole thing was a wrestler named Bart Gunn.
Okay. Which I've never even heard of.
Was not intended to win.
Okay.
Or wasn't the favorite to win, I guess I'll say. The favorite to win was a guy named Dr. Death Steve Williams.
So this wasn't like planned?
No.
They
really fought.
They really fought.
Yes.
Well, how fun. Okay.
It wasn't fun. It actually turned out to be quite a debacle. Most of the matches were kind of boring. The guys not saying they weren't good fighters, but not being professional fighters. You know, there was a lot of just clubbering around and guys knocking each other down, and it wasn't as entertaining as it would sound like it would be.
Okay.
But anyway, to capitalize on this, they decided, well, fuck it. Let's do something with Bart Gunn at WrestleMania. So they found a guy named Butterbean.
Butterbean. I've heard you mention Butterbean before.
Butterbean was a tough man contest guy. A real, legit boxer.
Okay.
So they decided, well, let's go to WrestleMania with Bart Gunn.
And Butterbean.
And put him in the ring with Butterbean. And see how this goes. So I want you to watch this. It's not going to take us very long. You know, your standard wrestling match isn't very long, so neither is a fight. But anyway, those of you listening along, if you want to get on the WWE Network, it's WrestleMania 15. The minute mark is 25:39. Or you can jump to, and I've just gone to where they're going to introduce the judges and such, Brawl for All Judges Introductions. And there's a picture of Gorilla Monsoon there.
You'll know you're at the right spot because there are two guys.
These are Shane McMahon's Mean Street Posse.
Oh, that's who these guys are.
Yes.
Well, this
thugs from the mean streets of Greenwich, Connecticut.
Dude has a receding skunk line.
Yes, he does. That is Rodney.
Rodney. He looks like a Rodney.
The other guy is Pete Gas.
Oh, I would have taken him for like a Chuck or something, or a Chip.
Looks like or a Vinny.
Maybe a Vinny. I don't know about a Vinny.
But, yeah.
He's got the vest for, I guess, so that means he might be a Vinny.
Hey, how you doing? So, here on episode 115 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, a lot of you have probably already seen this, but Kendall has not.
Nope.
So, we're going to get her live reaction to the Brawl for All between Butterbean and Bart Gunn. They're going to introduce the judges here. Like I said, this is legit. Like, they had legit trainers, and that's Vinny Pazienza, boxing champion, the Pazmaniac, the Pazmanian Devil.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember these
He's got a
pants.
big fucking head.
I think everybody had a pair of those pants.
I didn't.
You did. Don't lie.
I did not. I'm not a Guido. I'm not a Guido. I didn't have them pants.
Hell, I had a pair of them pants.
Guido.
What is?
WWE at one time, I think, was trying to hire Pazienza. Didn't work out. The melodic voice of Howard Finkel doing the introductions, the greatest ring announcer in the history of wrestling. Kevin Rooney.
How you doing?
Look at him. He's like, how you doing? This guy here, Chuck Wepner, this is actually the guy who Sylvester Stallone based the story of Rocky on.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
He also had a wrestler versus boxer match with Andre the Giant back in the 70s. And this is Gorilla Monsoon, one of the greatest commentators in wrestling history. At this point, he looks very sick because he was.
Okay.
I think about not even 6 months after this, he passed away.
He looks like he's about to go.
Gorilla Monsoon.
Oh, look at that hair.
She's reminiscing on all this 90s hair here.
Oh, man, that mullet was great. Like, it was...
And even by this point, the mullet was out.
Oh.
You know, it wasn't even a thing anymore.
It was a bouncy mullet.
A bouncy.
It was bouncy.
It was bouncy.
It had a lot of
bounce.
A lot of lift.
Oh, my. It's time for the Brawl for All.
Brawl for All.
Here we go.
Bring it.
Here's Butterbean.
Oh,
now you can see why they call him Butterbean.
You know what? Now that you say that, I think I have seen him before.
These guys in their red, white, and blue garb.
Yeah.
They look like they're at a MAGA rally, actually. Just saying.
Butterbean.
All right, Butterbean. If he'd have been born in Lima, Ohio, he'd have been Lima Bean.
Yeah.
Or in Mexico, he'd have been something frijoles. I don't know, whatever.
He'd have been refried bean.
And here comes Bart Gunn.
He tripped.
Not Bart Gunn, his trainer, one of his trainers. From Western Kentucky. He got out of Harlan alive. Will he get out of this match alive?
That joke
Harlan's in Eastern Kentucky.
That would have been great, but that was in Eastern Kentucky. Harlan's in Southeastern Kentucky.
Well, the song goes Eastern Kentucky.
It's technically Southeastern, but yeah.
Now that first time ever in the We Can't Wrestle podcast, we've discussed Kentucky geography.
Well,
so there's a first.
It's because I'm from that area, so I happen to know.
All right, are you ready for this?
I've been waiting on it to happen.
All right, I want you to. This is going to be fun.
Okay. I'm already having fun.
All right.
I need a refill though.
You need to watch intently.
Okay, I will do my best, but I still need a refill.
You need a refill. All right, so here we go.
Let's do this.
The fight's going to start. The Brawl for All, Butterbean, and Bart Gunn. There is a reason I want you to watch this. There's a reason I wanted you to watch this.
This Butterbean guy looks like the dude from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Michael Chiklis?
Yeah.
He looks like a Cro-Magnon Michael Chiklis, you're right. Here you go. The Brawl for All, Bart Gunn and Butterbean. Watch along with the wife. Here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And the fight begins. You hear the bell in the background.
Boom. Oh.
And now, yeah, here we go. Those of you that have seen it know what's going on. A couple jabs by Butterbean there.
The other dude is just like swinging
And
aimlessly.
Oh. Keep watching.
Gee,
right.
yep, he's down.
He's down.
He's down.
But that's not what I wanted you to see.
He like leaned backwards.
What I wanted you to see is coming up in just a hot second, all right? Remember how much they hyped this match up. Round one. Oh!
Oh!
He got knocked the fuck out!
He did. And then he hit his head again on the way down. Shit.
That's
yeah.
it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Knocked him out.
It's curtains.
There's the big hype.
It's over. Damn.
Wait till the replays.
Oh, he's awake. He came back.
He's kind of awake.
He came back.
He didn't sit up like the Undertaker, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
I knew it. I knew you'd like it.
Oh, no.
That motherfucker got knocked. You know what? After this, he was never on TV again.
Are you kidding?
For the WWF.
Is that real?
Oh! No, that's the first one.
Oh, shit.
That's the first one.
God. But he hit him good. Oh.
A nice rabbit punch. And here comes the biggie. Wait. There it is. Did you see his head?
Yeah, it did. He went limp instantly.
Bye-bye, Bart. Hello, Bart.
He's still
he has
tilting.
no fucking idea where he is right now.
He still has a tilt.
He has probably still has a tilt. 21 years later. Want to see it again? Let's
Yes,
show
I
it
do.
again.
Oh, shit. Oh, no. Pow. Oh, his head whipped. Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
The entrances lasted longer than the match.
Yeah, it did.
Well, there it is.
It took forever to get to that moment, and it only lasted a moment.
There it is. The Brawl for All final. Or the Brawl for All. Bart Gunn and Butterbean. That's it. That's the whole thing.
That's it. Did dude seriously not?
No, it was never featured on WWE TV
What is
again.
this? Wait. Don't turn it
No,
off
it's
yet.
the
What
San
is this?
Diego Chicken.
What's the San Diego Chicken? What is this?
It's the San Diego Chicken, their mascot. The year before at WrestleMania, he got pile-drived by Kane.
I would have loved to have seen that.
I think you have seen it.
Have I seen it?
Yeah. But now, of course, they're going to do the goofy thing where the boxer knocks out the chicken.
Really?
Yeah, but
I'm kind of okay with this. Not do
No. There you go. Yeah, see, the cartoony knockout of the chicken.
That wasn't nearly as fun.
Well, there it was.
There it was.
I wanted to get your reaction to Bart Gunn getting knocked the fuck out at WrestleMania 15.
Fantastic. I'm glad you
like
shared
you
that.
said, or like we said, he's probably still walking.
He's still got a tilt,
He's still got a tilt to this day. Bart still got a tilt gun. That's his name. All right, well, there it is. Thank you for doing the watch along with me.
Absolutely.
And you'll still be here with me on the other side when we come back. But right now, let's take a listen to that audio, that unused audio from, well, it was last year sometime. Like I said, I think it was like episode 82 that we originally recorded this for. Me and Aaron talking about our top 10 favorite funny fuckers in the history of the world, like a George Carlin or a Bobby Heenan or a Robin Williams. Hey, there's spoilers, but you'll find out right now. Let's listen to this, and we'll talk at you on the other side. On the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
Hey, this is a national treasure and the real world's champion, Nick Aldis. And just when you thought that every possible wrestling podcast name in the world was taken, Nate comes in with a clinch with the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Based on Nate's unbelievable level of praise for me, I would go ahead and say that Nate sounds like a knowledgeable, smart, trustworthy human being, and his expertise should be lauded and appreciated by all of the listeners of the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
All right, wrestling fans and listeners, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Just want to remind you that no matter where you're listening to this podcast, whether it be Podbean, where I originally post the posts for the show you can listen to it on any podcast app, whether it be Stitcher, Podcast Addict, which is my personal favorite. You can listen on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and just this week, the show is now available on iHeartRadio as well. So any of those platforms, you can listen to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And one more plug for the We Can't Wrestle podcast Facebook group. There are a lot of you. We have a lot of likes, a lot of followers on our We Can't Wrestle Facebook page. But a lot of you are missing out because you could be a part of the We Can't Wrestle podcast group as well on Facebook. So join the group, join the conversation, and you can interact with the show as well. So just want to throw that out there. Now, we're going to move on with the show, and this part of the show will not necessarily be wrestling, because I actually only have one wrestling guy on this list.
I think we have the same wrestling guy on our list.
Yeah, we probably do, and he's probably number one on both of our lists, and we've discussed him at length. And we'll
Adam Bomb.
Adam Bomb and his segment with the Special Olympics kids.
Who?
All right. Nobody but us is going to get that. If anybody but us gets that, message me with that, and I will fucking send
I'll give you a taco.
Give you a taco. I will send you a fucking wrestling action figure in the mail. So anyway, top 10 favorite funny fuckers of all time. Now, I'm going to say, full disclosure, there are two guys that I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive that Aaron is going to have on his list that I left off my list just so that we could have a more in-depth conversation about more personalities. But this is all forms of entertainment. This is all comedy, wrestling, movies, what have you. Funniest fuckers of all time. And Aaron, since you came up with the topic, I'm going to let you start us off.
All right. Mine aren't going to be in any particular order, and I have wrote down either movies that they've made that I think are great, or lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll start with Steve Martin.
And Steve Martin is on my list.
Well, you can still discuss it, but I don't know how you broke down yours, but
born in
Babylonia.
Yeah.
Your lower intestine. Like that balloon animal. Like, the dude was so weird. Like,
Steve Martin's humor is a level above other people's humor. Like, Okay, as a I can't really say as a comedian because I haven't. I really, honest to God, don't know if he has. Does Steve Carell have stand up, or is he just a comedic actor?
I think he was one of those guys like Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm. Tried out stand up, but
did it for a little bit or whatever.
I liken Steve Martin and Steve Carell. Like their delivery and their. Does that make sense? Like, am I off base?
No.
Okay. Like Steve. Like, okay. I'm just gonna say you said quotes, and I know I'm taking over here, but I mean, Steve Martin in probably one of the top 10 funniest movies ever, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Okay.
You know, I want my fucking car.
Fucking now. So you fucking mad.
Looks like you're fucked.
Yeah, looks like you're fucked.
And then he's like, oh. Or, I mean, The Jerk. I mean, you know, that's the go-to, but you know, there's my favorite scene is The Jerk is the I'm leaving scene. You know, I don't need anything.
Every scene in that movie is great.
Yeah,
I love when he's like,
"You mean I'm gonna be this color forever?"
I like when he's getting shot at and he's like, "All these cans are defective." They're just like leaking out. The cans are defective, and when he's like in the phone book and he's like, "My name in print, I've made it." It's so great. Here's some lines. Here's some of my favorite shit he's ever said. Boy, those French, they got a word for everything. It's like, over there they call a hat a beret, and a roll a baguette. Like, I don't know the French words, you know? Yeah, he's like, yeah, those French, they got a word for everything. So, and he said he likes a woman with a head on her shoulders, because I hate necks.
Talking about music is like dancing about architecture.
Yeah. Don't have sex, men. It leads to kissing, and then pretty soon you got to start talking to them. Then there's one that says, there's a time he said, "A day without sunshine is like, you know, night."
I like a woman with a head on her shoulders. I hate necks.
Yeah. But this is hands down my favorite Steve Martin joke. So the doc told me, good news, you're about to have a disease named after you. Like, your shit's so fucked up. You're the first one that's ever had it. Oh, I don't know. Like that's such a morbid but funny joke. Parenthood is one of my favorite movies ever. I love that fucking movie.
That and what is that fucking movie called? What's the one he did with Queen Latifah and Eugene Levy?
Bringing Down the House,
yes,
or whatever?
That is an underrated,
yeah.
Really good movie. It's really funny. Now, if you didn't get my reference at the beginning of this conversation, then you must be living under a rock. You have to listen to King Tut. Because King Tut's one of the best novelty records ever made. And that's Steve Martin. Yeah, such a funny guy. I don't even know how to elaborate more on it than what we just did. Just such a funny guy, and it's that ethereal. Steve Martin's humor makes you have to think. Sometimes, you know,
yeah.
Like you said, the joke about the French, like that joke. I have shown people Steve Martin telling that joke and nothing, and then I explain it to them and they laugh. Like with Steve Martin, you need to be paying attention and you need to get that shit and you need to have a fucking brain.
Or a Little Shop of Horrors when he's all stoned up or whatever, and he's like, "The kid's got a goddamn revolver."
That kid's got a goddamn revolver.
And he just it's good shit.
Steve Martin and Bill Murray in that scene in that movie is one of my favorite things ever. That movie is one of my Little Shop of Horrors is my favorite musical, and it's one of my it's one of my favorite movies ever. But the scene with Bill Murray and Steve Martin in the dentist office is fucking classic. Classic. I mean that is humor to its best.
Yep.
Because he's just like trying. Like he gets out the rustiest fucking he's got that drill with the pedal.
Yeah.
You're gonna like this.
Like when Bill's like waiting in the waiting room.
Yeah, you sicko.
He's like sitting up there with his feet up, he's getting all excited. Yeah, it's good stuff.
The cotton in the mouth, the cotton things in the mouth. God, it's so funny.
Oh, baby.
So, and if there's nothing else on Mr. Martin,
Oh.
I have to put this guy on my list. And frankly, I know he's not a comedic actor. He's not a comedian. And Aaron may have him on his list too. I don't know because I know we're both big fans of this cat. Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, yeah, he's funny.
Gordon Ramsay's one of the funniest fucking I know some people know this, some people might not, but when I'm having a bad day, my go-to expression is the fucking bass is fucking raw. Because there is a scene from Hell's Kitchen where Gordon Ramsay just loses it about this raw bass, or the fact that he calls people a donut, or just some of the fuckwit, just some of the shit that he comes up with. Is, like, this lamb should still have fur on it. Just, he is...
Or the customer whistles at him. And he's like, "You gonna whistle at me like I'm a dog?" And it's like this female, and she's like chef trying to get his attention, then she whistles at him, and he goes, "You're gonna whistle at me like I'm a fucking dog? You look more like a dog than I do, bitch."
Now
why did you even walk up to that counter?
My favorite Ramsay line, other than the fucking bass is fucking raw, because that's a motto in my life, is they have, and those of you that don't watch Ramsay's shows, Hell's Kitchen, you should. If you're not, you're missing out. But they have a blind taste test to test the chef's palates.
You're a turkey.
Yes. He gives them a food, and they have to tell, blindfolded, with headphones on that are canceling out all the noise and everything, what this food is. And he gives this guy chicken, and the guy says turkey. And Gordon Ramsay lifts up the guy's left headphone and goes, "You're the turkey." Another one that I use almost every day of my life, at least in my brain. So yeah, like I said, I mean, I know some people might not associate Gordon Ramsay that way, but he makes me fucking laugh, so I had to put him on the list.
I like when he goes to the restaurants, eats the food.
Yeah, and he's like, "This tastes like dog food. It's cat food." Because
he's always cool with the waitress, Yeah. Or the server or whatever, because that guy or gal's just the person bringing the food, So then he's always knocking the shit, the waiter or waitress will be like, because he's making fun of the boss, He's
like, the hamburger, this is a dog food pate.
And the cook the server goes back and he said, "Look, he says fucking garbage. You should be ashamed of yourself." Yeah, the guy's awesome. Doesn't give two fucks about nobody. Except kids. When you watch this shit with the kids, it's all cool and everything.
Yeah, Kendall and I watch MasterChef Junior, and it's a totally different Ramsay. The worst he does on there is he'll taste something and he'll go, "Oh dear." Like he doesn't go, "You fucking little twat."
I would still watch it.
He tells that one lady on Hell's Kitchen that one time, he's like, "Get out of here, you fucking cow. No, you're not a fucking cow, you're a fucking hog." And I'm just like, oh my God, if I didn't have an HR department, I would be Gordon Ramsay.
There was the one episode where he was going to kick out because usually he'll just be like, "You, fuck off out of here."
Yeah, fuck off out of here. I like it.
There was one where he was going to throw out the entire kitchen. And he was just like, you, fuck off out of here. Instead of saying all of you, just fuck off out of here.
The best part
he
about...
to get each and every one of their faces.
The best part about that, when he does that, is the sound effects, because they'll put in that... So it'll be like, you... It's fucking great. I love it. I get so much entertainment out of Gordon Ramsay shows.
I love when somebody will roll their eyes or like talk back under their breath.
Yeah.
Kind of up on him or whatever.
All right. Next on your list?
Let's go with Chris Rock.
I didn't have Chris Rock on my list. He would have been if I had a top 15. But, yes, Chris Rock is definitely up there as a funny motherfucker. In my formidable days, like, Chris Rock was at the top of my list for stand-up comedians. God, so funny. But
here's some of his lines. You ready?
I am, and I probably know them all.
If a woman tells you she's 20 and looks 16, she's 12. If she tells you she's 26 and looks 26, she's damn near 40.
I love his routine about the OJ trial, about the OJ prize. You know, he's like, OJ Simpson verdict. Black people too happy, white people too mad. I've been waiting for my OJ prize for 6 weeks and it ain't come in the mail yet. And then he's like, if that had been Jerry Seinfeld,
you'd be eating cereal right now.
And you'd be eating cereal right now. And when he talks about I want some extra cheese on my Whopper. The fucking custody. Oh my God. Some of Chris Rock's
Daddy
stuff.
Get the biggest piece of chicken.
Yep, the biggest pork chop actually.
And biggest pork chop.
Biggest pork chop. Yeah, Chris Rock. Like I back in the 90s, man. His stand up. I bought all his books. That guy was funny as fuck. And you know, I think another reason that you and I can identify to him is where we grew up.
Yeah.
You know, just some of the jokes that he made about growing up in the inner city, and it just, Chris Rock is so funny. And
he said, men lie the most, women lie the biggest. Men would be like, I was at Kevin's house. Women are like, it's your baby.
You know what? It's funny you said Kevin's house, and I'm not trying to get off topic here with Chris Rock, but it taught me to, and he's not in my top 10 here, but it brought me back to Martin Lawrence too. Like, Martin Lawrence was really funny. Like you said Kevin's house, and what made me think of
Craig
him?
And them?
Yes, Craig and them. I was out with Craig and them. Like Martin Lawrence, and that show was really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like, just the same type of humor. Martin Lawrence, I guess, just, I don't know, he kind of faded away as far as stand-up went.
He was Martin Lawrence was his own worst enemy.
That's true. That's true.
Martin Lawrence didn't, I don't want to say it, like, he would go into an environment where you weren't supposed to be controversial or crude or crass, and would do it just to do it because he wanted to, like, you know, buck the system. Whereas a Chris Rock understood his audience and where you can and can't do something like that.
Right.
You know? And I'm not saying that, I don't want to say it, and that's not a bad thing in comedy, especially if you want to stay relevant, you want to stay in the mix, you want to keep working. and doing this, that, and that. Like Martin Lawrence went on SNL and made jokes about dirty vaginas and shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like that's not the environment. You're not a Def Jam right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And people can say, oh well, that person sold out if they were like that. It's like, no, they're a professional.
Yeah, it's just it's just like wrestling. You know, do you want to cater to a audience that's going to watch ECW, or do you want to cater to an audience that's going to watch WWE and bring their kids to the show? You know? Yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying. Martin, you're right. He was his own worst enemy. He stepped on his own dick a lot.
Yep. And here's some other lines. Who's judging American Idol? Paula Abdul? Paula Abdul judging a singing contest is like Christopher Reeves judging a dancing contest. See, that's not a joke that Chris Rock's going to make on SNL. You know? But he'll go on HBO and make that shit.
I was going to say he'll go on HBO in his leather jacket and make that fucking joke.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I'm not trying to cut you off. One of my favorite Chris Rock jokes. And I'm going to do my awful white guy Chris Rock impression when I do this joke. The 1997 MTV Video Music Awards. Marilyn Manson performed at the end of the show, and it was your Marilyn Manson performance. You know, he was dressed like a priest, and there were like nuns dressed like sluts. And Chris Rock says after that happens, everybody in this building needs to go to church right now. Popped me, and I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. That was so funny. Like, his natural reaction to a Marilyn Manson performance was fucking great. And that's how they ended the show. That was the end of the show, was Chris Rock saying, everybody in this building needs to go to church right now. With his big long fingers and the delivery. It was fucking great, man. That was fucking fantastic.
Well, every town has two malls. The one white people go to, and the one white people used to go to.
And believe me, Aaron...
That's a dated joke, but it's funny.
But Aaron knows this. I worked in the one that white people used to go to. In Northtown in Toledo. But yes, Chris Rock is a funny motherfucker. Or, yes.
And then here's my favorite, like, weird Chris Rock joke. Whenever I go out with other married couples, I like to bring along a single crackhead just to spice shit up.
Thank you, Chris Rock.
But I love that mall joke. Nobody under the age of what? 35 will understand it.
Yeah.
That's a nice joke.
So, the next guy on my list, he should probably be higher, but I didn't really, like Aaron said, I didn't rank mine necessarily by... Aaron and I are both students of comedy. We were raised by a dad and a grandfather who love comedy, a mother who loves comedy. So we're students of comedy. You almost take a different... I'm not trying to be arrogant, and Aaron, you can tell me if I'm off base, but you almost take a different look at it when you're a comedic person and you're a student of comedy. You kind of study the art of it. So that being said, like I said, I didn't rank these people necessarily other than number one in order. But anyway, number 9 on my list that I wrote down... This guy is not only one of the funniest humans to ever live. He is one of the funniest actors. He is one of the funniest stand-ups. You're not going to see a moment, honestly, of this guy on camera where he's not funny, and it's Robin Williams.
Yeah, he's on my list.
Fuck. I mean, fuck. Like, that guy He may be. And okay, spoiler alert: Heenan's probably going to be number one on Aaron's list too. I put Heenan number one on my list just because it's Heenan. Maybe Robin's funnier than Heenan. Like, because Robin Williams, I mean, even his stand-up, he didn't even write it. You know what I mean? He just went out on stage and did it. And Robin Williams is one of those guys where his outtakes are almost funnier than the actual movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't even... I'm trying to think of... it's hard to narrow it down with him, but I'm going to use a couple of examples. One is... I'll use Mrs. Doubtfire. You know that the scene where... You know when he's in the... he's in the fucking, like, social service office or whatever, and he's doing the job interview thing?
Yeah.
You know that was all improvised. That fucking hot dog joke.
I'm a hot dog.
I'm a hot dog, and then he just straightens his body. That is so funny. And then, like,
and I know that was ad-lib because they even doesn't the chick laugh and like
she kind of like chuckles. Yeah, she tries to stay in character. Or Bicentennial Man when he tells that doctor joke, and he's like, "Do you mind if I numb your breast?" That's okay. Num 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 num. And his stand-up is, honest to God, like every time I can watch it a million times and it puts me in tears. You know, there's an HBO special that Williams has, and in the background of the stage, those of you that haven't, I don't even know what the special's called, so I don't know how to refer you to it, but there's an HBO special with Robin Williams, and in the background, there is this big, like they make a mosaic, and there's an eyeball, all right? And he points to the eyeball, and on the fly, he says, "Look at that. That's what a clitoris sees." That's the line. That's just, it's fucking great. I mean, the guy was so funny. So funny.
It's a bit about...
Or
about how do you know if you're an alcoholic?
Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff. And like, he's like, here's the first sign. You wake up in the morning fully clothed and go, "Huh, someone shit in my pants last night."
Or his thing about Tiger Woods.
Yeah. He's like, an alcoholic will be, he's like, "We're bipolar as hell. I love you. I love you. I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you. Poor me. Poor me. Pour me another drink."
I love his thing about cats, too. Who loves Kitty?
Yeah.
When he's like, the cat's like licking its ass, it's like, who loves Kitty? Oh, such a funny man. Like, we could probably do a whole episode on Robin Williams.
And
you know what?
Mork and Mindy's a great show.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, if... And I know it goes away from the humor...
Shizbot!
That was... I know it goes away...
This curse word on his planet. Shizbot!
I know it goes away from the humor of him, too, but... like, one of my favorite movies, and to be perfectly honest with you, a movie that you know, for a cold-hearted fuck, just touches my heart. Patch Adams. Like, to watch that movie and to watch his portrayal of that man, and you know, him doing the jokes with the kids and doing the joke, like, there's that they have that he's in the what do I say, the support session or whatever at the clinic, and that one guy can't put his arm down. But he makes it funny, you know, and it's not mean, It's just funny. He's like, "Who got a boner last night?" And that guy's got his arm up. And it's just, you know, he was so, he was so good. And, I mean, what a loss. What a loss. Like, I'm not a celebrity guy where I'm like, oh, the celebrity died, I'm going to post on Facebook. I'm so sad that this... When Robin Williams died, that was a sad fucking day, you know? And the world lost some fucking sunshine the day
the joke
Robin
you just
Williams.
said about Patch Adams, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Robin Williams was at a Q&A thing, and somebody asked him what it was like to be like, you know, a comedian, a struggling comedian or whatever, and his quote to this person was, "When in doubt, go for a good dick joke." He said, "We had gay burglars bust in last night. They broke in and rearranged everything."
Can I say this really quick?
Yeah.
And I don't know how I almost glazed over it. Is not one of the funniest movies ever, and one of the funniest comedic interactions ever, Robin Williams and Nathan Lane in The Birdcage.
Everybody in that movie is fun.
That is one of my top 10 favorite movies ever. One of my favorite scenes, and this is just to point out Robin Williams, because I'll probably bring up Hank Azaria here too. When he is trying to teach Nathan Lane how to be manly, and Nathan Lane does the John Wayne walk, and then Robin Williams is like, oh, and Nathan Lane's like, oh, what, did I get it wrong? And he's like, no, it was perfect. I just never realized John Wayne walked like that. Now, I want to say this. I'm sorry. I want to say this. And this is getting off Robin Williams, but Hank Azaria's character in that movie, Agador Spartacus, the shoes.
Everybody in that movie's fun.
It's one of the funniest movies ever made. It's so good.
Goddamn kitty. Maybe out of the trash can.
Yeah. Money's on the table, chocolate. Or when he's telling the story, he's like, we love to go through Ohio.
Yeah, I was just saying, Gene Hackman's even funny when he's like describing the foliage.
The foliage. And you know what's funny?
His wife.
You know what's funny?
What's her real name?
Oh, God, I can't remember.
I'll remember it later, but she's like, what are they doing on these bowls? Are they wrestling? Or...
And then Robin Williams is like, oh.
Dumps the soup in there quick.
And then he's like, you got to come out with the main course. The soup is the main course. It's a soup. It's a main course.
Don't they put that big picture of Jesus up? He's like, Jesus Christ. He walks around here. It's a great movie.
That movie's so funny. And he can't, fucking Agador Spartacus in them shoes. He's like, dinner is served. Oh, fuck. Got off track. Sorry.
Here's another question he asks. Do you think God gets stoned? I do. I mean, look at the platypus.
Oh, fuck.
And here is... It might be my favorite Robin Williams joke ever. Okay? Mm-hmm. Like, not bit. This might be my favorite, just on its own, Robin Williams joke ever. Do you know the difference between a tornado and a divorce in the South? Nothing. Someone's losing a trailer.
I like his joke. I like his joke about suicide bombers, where he's like, they think they're gonna get 72 virgins when they go to heaven, but they get up there and it turns out it's 72 Virgils. How you doing?
And then did he say it was Virginians too?
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. No, you're right. It's not Virgils. It's Virginians. Yes. Yes. I fucked it up. But yeah, that's fucking funny. How you doing? All right, so we spent like 45 minutes on my number 9. What's your number 8, Aaron?
Well, like I said, it's not a number.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying.
You're throwing me off saying numbers, so so we'll go with Bill Murray.
I didn't put Bill Murray on my list, but you are absolutely on point.
One of his motivational quotes is, "Whatever you do, always give 100%. Well, unless you're donating blood."
Okay. So, we could go through quotes from Ghostbusters. We could go through quotes from Groundhog Day. I'm going to say this. One of my favorite Bill Murray things. Aaron's going to spoil it because he's going to talk over me. You've heard the French fry story, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me tell it.
Okay.
Bill Murray, they have a whole thing about real people interacting with Bill Murray. And this is why Bill Murray is so funny, because it's real. There's a girl who writes a story about how she's in a restaurant in L.A., I believe it's L.A., and she's eating with her friend, and Bill Murray's in the restaurant, and he comes by as he's leaving, and he picks up one of her French fries, dips it in ketchup, eats the French fry, looks at her and goes, "Nobody's ever going to believe you." So funny. That is fucking funny at its funniest best. I'll let you elaborate more because you brought him up.
I was just gonna list my 5 favorite movies of his.
You're a dirty girl.
And they're Groundhog Day, Caddyshack, Ghostbusters, Scrooged, and Stripes. Those are my favorite Bill Murray movies.
Say them again.
Groundhog Day, Caddyshack, Ghostbusters, Scrooged, and Stripes.
I am on board with that, because Groundhog Day. You said Groundhog Day first. Is that your favorite?
Yes.
Me too. And then his portrayal of Peter Venkman is my second favorite.
It's Groundhog Day is a fantastic movie.
It is. It's an amazing movie. Like, Groundhog Day is one of those movies that I watch at least twice a year, just because I want to watch it. You know, just because I want to laugh, I want to smile.
Yeah.
I don't know. Aaron's right. It's an amazing, amazing movie.
And anybody else, it wouldn't have been anything with anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Bill Murray, like if you try to think of like Groundhog Day starring somebody other than Bill Murray, you're like, no,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And he's one of those guys that in real life, you know, people say he's kind of a dick or whatever. It's like, you know what? With this guy, I don't care. Like, if I meet Bill Murray, I want him to be a dick. You know what I mean? I would, like, when they say you don't want to meet your heroes because they'll just let you down because they're going to be jerks. It's like, I would be kind of upset if, like, I met Bill Murray and he was just, like, super nice.
Yeah.
This isn't how it's supposed to be.
Or when she's like, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Ghostbusters now. You know, like, there is no more Dana, only Zool scene. You know,
yeah.
And then, like, they
I
say...
want you inside me. I think there's already enough people in there already.
or later on, when he's like, she's not my girlfriend. She sleeps above her covers. Like, I don't remember what he says, but he's like, 4 feet above,
4 feet above her covers.
She barks, she drools, she claws.
Dogs and cats living together.
Oh, and you know, even like, I don't know, even like his more obscure movies, like, you have to give him a chance, peeps. You just have to. Like, I didn't think when I saw the trailer for Rushmore that I was going to like it. And it's great.
Yeah, Tannenbaum's is great.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I didn't think I'd like when I saw the ad, like the trailer for it, was that Life Aquatic movie. I didn't think I'd like that.
That's really good too. It's more ethereal. Like, I don't know. It's the humor of it is more ethereal and subtle, but it's really funny. Like when you like, that's a movie that, to be perfectly honest with you, was funnier the second time I watched it.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, I was kind of lost.
And,
but the second time I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, that's funny.
That one he made with, was it Scarlett Johansson or whatever, that Lost in Translation movie?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good movie. But, yeah, Bill Murray, man, he's and I'm not saying, like, his SNL stuff was really good. He's got, like, if you go back and listen to, like, some of his National Lampoon stuff, it was good shit. I mean, yeah, the guy was,
Was he responsible for Land Shark?
No. Land Shark was Chevy.
Was it? Okay. I honest to God couldn't remember which one it was.
That was Chevy Chase. He'd be like...
Candygram.
Candygram.
That's a guy I didn't put on my list that I should have. Fuck, I hate this list, because it's like, I'm thinking of all these people that I'm like, Chevy Chase is fucking funny too. Fuck it. I know he's an asshole as well, but God, what a funny goddamn guy. Yeah. Candygram. Oh, fuck. Okay. So the next person on my list was Steve Martin, who we already discussed. So I will go to Mr. Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor is... I mean, not only was he a great stand-up, but I'm going to tell you, folks, the funniest movie ever made, and if you disagree, honestly, I can't talk to you. The funniest movie ever made is Blazing Saddles. And Richard Pryor wrote that movie with Mel Brooks. And Richard Pryor's stand-up is, if you're one of these modern day, I don't care, whatever. Fuck, it's my show. If you're one of these modern day pussy, I'm offended by everything people, you're probably not going to want to watch Richard Pryor, because it's going to offend you somehow, some way.
If it offends you, suck a dick.
Yes. Richard Pryor is so funny. And, I mean, all you have to do to know funny is to know the self-deprecating of funny. Richard Pryor was freebasing, and he set himself on fire. Literally. He set himself on fire. And one of his funniest jokes is based on his own suffering. When he's talking about being washed, Aaron knows what I'm talking about. Don't wash me!
He's all excited about it. He's talking about...
He talks about going to Africa.
Oh, yeah. And the gazelle are out there, and they're like... They hear it, and there's the one that doesn't hear it, and they're like, cheetah! Huh? Cheetah! What? Cheetah! Huh? It's your ass!
Fuck me.
And the one gazelle like sidestepped one cheetah, and he was going so fast he rolled like another mile down the road. Whatever, and that cheetah was like, "Next time it's your ass, motherfucker. I got you, motherfucker."
when he's like, I got off the plane, and the guy was like, yes, my brother. And that's so funny. He's so funny. Or was so funny. But
my favorite bit is like when he's talking about how he was hooked up with these organized crime guys. Like he goes to help pay for dinner, and they're like, Richard, we're crime, and crime doesn't pay. Like he was fucking funny, and I'm not gonna use the term they use in it, but you just brought up Chevy Chase, and if you want to watch something funny, watch Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor doing like the word association bit from SNL.
Oh God, you could never do that now.
No,
I mean,
and I'm not going to.
Well, but I'm saying my thing is you could never do that now, but you should be able to, because if you're not a fucking bigot and you're humorous, why does it matter? Like, I make jokes about white people all the time. Why does it fucking matter? You know? Like, one of our listeners, who I work with, Todd, posted he's black, he posted the other day on his Facebook, my neighbor, this is December in Ohio, folks, my neighbor is mowing his lawn, I will never understand white people. And I posted to him, I'm still trying to figure us out myself. That's not offensive. Who fucking cares? We're all people. I don't understand this whole political correct shit anyway. Like, that's a whole nother show. But I don't understand it. Like, why can't we just have fun? Like, why does everybody have to be fucking offended by everything anymore? That's why comedy isn't funny anymore. Honestly, that's why I don't watch modern comedic movies. It's not for the fact of, oh, well, we can't tell, like, racist jokes against black, white, Asian, Hispanic. We can't tell anything. We can't ever point out anything. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm getting off on a fucking rant here, but that's what humor is. It's not meant to be offensive. It's meant to be we're supposed to have levity. We all know that every one of us has something wrong with us. So why can't we joke about it? Why are you so fucking sensitive about everything all the time? And I am almost positive, looking at his body of work, that Richard Pryor would agree with me.
I wholeheartedly agree that Richard Pryor, he almost made my list. But I do need to grab a beer.
Very well.
So, give me 1 minute.
Richard Pryor, funny motherfucker.
Yes, and next guy on my list, I didn't write down lines or anything, but, excuse me, he is somebody that, when I was a kid, was somebody that, like, when I first started thinking things were funny, I don't know how to explain it, but it's David Letterman.
Oh yeah, definitely. You kind of look like.
I mean, obviously, I'm only 36 years old, so when he was like, you know, on after Carson or whatever, I wasn't seeing that, but like when he first like went to like CBS and things like that, you know. It's like he was on at night talking about things that I knew about now, and he had like such a weird sense of humor and like stupid human tricks and just all kinds of shit that he would do. His top 10 lists always cracked me up.
Larry King, he kind of looked like a hoot owl.
Yeah, like, and this guy was like super funny to me, and I love David Letterman. And I think he's still, to this day, one of the funniest people ever.
He is, definitely. And I'm going to be honest with you, like,
he could just be like, got any gum? It would be funny. If anybody else was just like, "You got any gum?" Not funny.
I like to watch Letterman and Norm Macdonald work together.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, Norm Macdonald is essentially Letterman. You know what I mean? Like he is that caliber of.
He's on my list.
Subtle, yet just the funniest shit you've ever heard. Humor.
Yeah, I mean, I just, to me, like, he's Johnny Carson to me. You know what I mean? Like, I watch Johnny Carson now, like in clips and things like that. I'm like, yeah, this guy was funny. This guy, was great. But I wasn't old enough to, stay up and watch Carson and shit like that. But I did, like, on Fridays when I could stay up late enough to watch Letterman, I felt like this is something that, I don't get to see all the time, and I shouldn't be watching it,
Yeah.
or whatever. But yeah, this guy, Letterman, is so fucking fantastic.
Absolutely. So funny. Like, I can't even explore the humor of Dave Letterman. And, the other thing that was equally funny about him was he was one of the best people of working off of his counterpart. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
being able to just improvise with that person that he's interviewing or whatever, or taking an awkward situation during an interview and making it funny.
Yeah.
The Andy Kaufman shit, the Madonna shit, just so funny.
And see, it's like, Leno is a funny guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Jay Leno's a funny guy, but when I would watch Jay Leno, part of me felt like even when he was interviewing somebody, Jay Leno wanted to be the star of the interview. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Letterman wasn't like that. Like, Letterman would be funny and would be irreverent and would banter, but the person he was interviewing was the main focus point of the interview. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Carson. Leno had the same problem that Jimmy Fallon has now, where it's Fallon wants to make everything come back to like being about him,
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end of the bit, he's the one dancing or whatever.
Right.
Like he'll even take like a joke that somebody else makes and turn it into something for him. That's kind of how Leno was, but Letterman wasn't like that. Letterman was. I just think in my opinion, my humble opinion, David Letterman is the greatest talk show host of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I was like 67 years old, I'd probably be like, no, it's Johnny Carson. But no, it's David Letterman.
Yes, I agree, because like I said, I mean the one of the great attributes of someone who is comedic is also being able to feed off of the person that you're speaking to.
Yeah.
And improvise. And I mean, most definitely, if you're looking at late night talk show hosts, I mean, there's nobody better than Letterman. He can match wits with anybody and still not make it a combative thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he had a lot of people on his show where you would see something that they said and you'd be like, ooh, you could have a fight about this. But Letterman would turn it into something humorous and lighthearted. And, yeah, I mean, the guy's a comedic genius.
Yep.
So next on my list of funniest motherfuckers ever is Jeff Ross. And I can't necessarily say that I can, at this very moment, point out a direct quote. But if you want to watch somebody roast people, Jeff Ross is your guy.
He wouldn't fuck Andy Dick's pussy with B. Arthur's dick.
B. Arthur. Oh, shit.
It's one of his jokes.
Yes. It's a great line.
He also asked Courtney Love, how does Kurt Cobain look better than you right now?
Oh, man.
The reason I wouldn't put a Jeff Ross on my list is, unless he's doing that, I don't find Jeff Ross funny. Like,
No.
I've seen, like, stand-up of Jeff Ross, and he doesn't really do it for me. But when he's doing insulting humor of other people, yes, I find it funny. But just, like, when I just see him do bits and stuff, it doesn't really do it for me. If you want to watch... Did you ever watch Bumping Mics?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Have you ever watched Jeff Ross insult criminals?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great, too.
I'll watch Jeff Ross insult anybody.
Maybe I'm just a terrible, terrible human being that likes to watch someone get roasted. I don't know. Like he's with this group of white supremacists, and he's like, "We got the whites only section up here. Happy Hanukkah, fellas." God, that's a funny joke. Because
he tells the one guy, "You're one of those rare people who look like a child and a child molester."
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. You guys are laughing really loud because someone's trying to build a tunnel right now. So yeah, I put Mr. Ross on my list. He kind of replaced one of the guys that I said I had two guys that I knew were going to be on your list, so I didn't put them on mine. So we'll see if I look silly as the show ends. But who's next on your list?
The next person on my list, I'll go with. Let's go with Groucho Marx.
Also on my list. Actually, number 3 on my list. Groucho Marx is... He probably has the greatest one-liners of anybody in history.
Yes.
He's talking to Margaret Dumont, and he says, I can see it. We have a little house with a white picket fence, and I come home from work, and you're bent over the oven. I can't see the oven. Or he's talking to two women at the same time.
Get married.
We should get married, but that would be bigamy. I know it would be bigamy too.
Be big of all of us.
It'd be big of all of us.
I put some bits on here that I like, but like it's he would say what would be considered like racy shit for the time too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like joke. Like everybody talks about I shot a elephant in pajamas. How I got my pajamas, I'll never know. But there's a line in there, and he goes, "We took pictures of the native girls, but they hadn't developed yet. So we're going back next year. Things are hopefully gonna look up. You know." That's a great joke. And then, but like bits like the
Tootsie
funniest,
Fritzy?
huh?
The Tootsie Fritzy?
Oh, that's on my list, but that's not my favorite Groucho Marx thing ever. It's not. My favorite Groucho Marx thing is on Day of the Races with the Dr. Hackenbush, Mr. Whitmore prank phone call.
Dr. Hackenbush.
Yeah, and he's telling that guy that like Whitmore's is like, okay, you float a call on line one, Mr. Whitmore.
Float a call, line one.
And he's like, oh yeah, Dr. Hackenbush, he used to work here and shit. Like, it's hard to explain it without seeing it, but it is fantastic. And the guy that plays Mr. Whitmore, he does a fantastic job.
Yeah, he's so mad.
And he's getting so
he's
mad.
so mad.
Like, he's so mad. And Groucho is like doing like we got a hurricane down here, and he's got like the fan going with like paper in it and all. Oh my god, it's fucking fantastic. It's my favorite like you could do that in a movie now and it would be funny.
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
It is fucking fantastic. It is one of the I would put that in one of the top, like in the top 10 funniest fucking movie scenes of all time. Be that goddamn phone call. It is fucking fantastic. Fantastic.
I love. Yes, that is I love Tootsie Fritzy. Like that whole scene. The whole. I'm getting at the end. It's like
find Tootsie Fritzy right
Tootsie
now.
Fritzy right now. And yeah, I bagged a tiger in my pajamas. How he got my pajamas, I'll never know.
Yeah, it's just this shit's so funny, and like none of the Marx Brothers weren't funny,
Right?
but to me, he's the tops. You know, like fantastic.
So.
My favorite songs are Lydia the Tattooed Lady and Hello, I Must Be Going.
Well, I was just about to say, like, I actually, to this day in my life, I'll be like, I must be going.
It's all good shit.
So next on my list is, and I'm sure he's probably not on yours, Dennis Miller.
He's not. But I think he's funny.
Dennis Miller is smart funny. Like one of my favorite one of my favorite Dennis Miller routines is when he's talking about people with the song "Ain't No Mountain High Enough."
Yeah.
And he's like, ain't no dance floor large enough with your kabuki shit. I don't think that Dennis Miller nowadays gets enough attention or enough recognition as he should for how funny he was back in the day. And to me, again, being a 41-year-old guy, maybe, a 20-year-old would look at it and go, this guy ain't that funny. But back then, Dennis Miller was really fucking funny. And he was one of my dudes back in the day, so I'm going to put him on the list.
All right.
Unless you have anything else on Mr. Miller.
I think that part of Dennis Miller's, his weekend updates are really good. And I I'm not saying he's not funny, but I just think sometimes he comes off.
I love Norm. I really do, and you know I do. But Dennis is definitely my favorite Weekend Update guy. I think that segment, being that it is topical news and political I think that it fit Dennis Miller's sense of humor the best, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But my favorite thing, my favorite Dennis Miller was when he had his show.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah, that show was great.
I liked watching him on his show. And the reason I think I liked watching him on his show was that when he was on the show, he didn't come off as smug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with somebody being smug, but sometimes I think that's Dennis Miller's problem, is that he comes off a little too smug sometimes. To me.
I can see that.
A man that did not come off smug is the next guy I'm trying to talk about, and it's Rodney Dangerfield.
He is one of the two that I didn't put on my list because I knew he'd be on your list.
He said, my wife and I were happy for 20 years. And then we met. My mom never breastfed me. She said she only liked me as a friend. What kind of kid I got? I told him about the birds and the bees, and he told me about the butcher and my wife.
You get no respect.
No respect. Worked for a pet shop. People would ask, how big does he get? I think that's a funny joke. They think he's an animal. Come on, it's a funny joke. They got nothing from me. I thought that was funny.
Oh.
A girl phoned me the other day and said, come over, nobody's here. I went over. There was nobody there.
I mean, if you haven't been exposed to Dangerfield, just watch Caddyshack.
Yeah?
You know what I mean? That's all you gotta do. That fucking... the joke about the hat.
Yeah, his hat's hideous. Then Ted Knightsbury, he's like, oh, it looks good on you, though. He goes, he's got the hat, he goes, oh, look at this hat.
Free bowl
You buy it,
of soup.
you get a free bowl of soup. What's up, Ted Knightsbury? And he's like, oh, it looks good on you, though. Jeez. And that Ladybugs movie, like, he's got the boy dressed up as a girl playing soccer or whatever, and then mom finds out about it, and she's like, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. And he's like, what's the problem? I just wanted your son to dress up like a girl and play with my balls.
Some of the best stuff you can look up, and honest to God.
We were just talking about it. Watch Dangerfield on Johnny Carson.
Yes. You watch, if you can, look up on YouTube, Dangerfield on Carson. And you'll see, like, you've never seen Johnny Carson lose it like he does when Dangerfield's on that show. It's crazy. And he's
Probably
so good. So funny.
Yeah. He was fantastic. And what he did for other comedians to get them out there should be acknowledged. And he was fantastic.
I absolutely agree.
Dr. Vinny Boombots. All this shit, you know. How you doing, Roddy? Oh, doing all right, but a couple weeks ago I was in rough shape. Like, you could watch him do that over and over again and still laugh, you know?
And the great thing about it is the eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you said a couple weeks ago I was in rough shape, like, I pictured his
eyes
eyes.
getting big, well, yeah, it's good shit. Fucking cracks me up, man.
So,
Like, if somebody tells you that they don't think Rodney Dangerfield's funny,
they don't know funny?
tell them to fuck off and we're not friends anymore.
Next on my list, and I'm sure I'm positive he's on yours. I could be wrong, but Don Rickles.
I didn't put Don on my list. I really didn't.
Really?
Yeah? Just because this should go without being said.
He's talking about Frank Sinatra, and he's like, when you enter a room, you have to kiss his ring. I don't mind, but he has it in his back pocket. I love that story he tells about when he's on that date.
Yeah? He tells Frank, oh, she's a big fan, come over, introduce yourself, help me out a lot. And then Frank comes over, he's like, hey, I'm Frank Sinatra. I said, can't you see I'm trying to eat? God damn it. Always interrupted me. Get away from here. Said him and his wife went to Mexico, drank the water. Stole, they didn't get the runs, they just got the walks.
He's like, the thing I love about Vegas is a melting pot. It's like working Ellis Island.
There were so many people that guy would make fun of that you shouldn't be able to make fun of.
Oh my God. You watch some of those Dean Martin roasts?
Yeah, like he's just like fucking with like Ronald Reagan and Frank Sinatra and fucking all of it. It's just fucking with these people. It's like nobody else would fuck with these people, but he's doing it. Like he looks at Mr. T or whatever, and he's like, you know, I'm down here. He's like, we're down here roasting Mr. T. Why? Hey, like, it's so simple. Then he like looks at Sam and he's like, Sammy, like he's doing a roast of like Sammy Davis, and he's like, Sammy Davis, while we're down here roasting you, 4 of your friends are upstairs robbing my hotel. He was just great. And yeah, he was fantastic.
I brought up Jeffrey Ross earlier because of the roasts. And I have to say that the true roast master was Rickles.
Well, the roasts from back in the day, like the Dean Martin roasts, are better than the roasts now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
They were more creative, they were more sophisticated. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that I don't think the shit now is funny. You know, it now is funny, but now it's just like, you know, you want the shock value of it or whatever. Back then, it was more, you had to think about it more. You know what I mean? And I can believe that Don Rickles was writing his jokes. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Now it's like Mike Tyson's going to go up there and say some shit. Mike Tyson didn't write that. It was written for him. You know? Like, nobody wrote Foster Brooks jokes about Lucille Ball or whoever he was going to go up there and make fun of. Foster Brooks wrote that shit himself. Don Rickles wrote his shit himself. It's like, it's just...
Actually, Don Rickles is probably like Robin Williams. He didn't even write it.
Yeah.
He just went out there and said it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so I like those more than the new ones.
So who's next on your list?
The next person on my list is... I only have 2 people that I know. Well, I have one guy that I know you'll have on there. But I'm sure you'll probably have this guy on your list too. And it'll be more his movies we'll go over is Mel Brooks.
Yes. Actually, no. And not because... excuse me, folks. He wouldn't be on my list. But he, along with Dangerfield, is one of the people that I didn't put on my list because I knew he'd be on your list.
So his 5 movies in my order are Young Frankenstein, History of the World Part 1, Blazing Saddles, Men in Tights, and then Spaceballs.
So we kind of disagree a little bit there because I think that Blazing Saddles is the funniest movie ever made. So that's number 1 for me. Blazing Saddles is hands down the funniest movie ever made. There's no doubt in my mind. The thing about Blazing Saddles is that it is not only a funny movie, but it's funny for the right reasons because it is a parody on exactly what it is discussing.
Yeah.
You know, Blazing Saddles is it is a destruction of bigotry in a humorous way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We're going to offer you a Laurel and Hardy handshake.
That's the cheesy joke of the movie.
I know, but see, that sometimes with Mel, that's the shit that pops me the most.
Right. But, I mean, you have... I love when Bart wakes... I can't remember Gene Wilder's name off the top of my head, but I've had, 26 beers. But anyway, he's like... When he wakes him up, and he's like, "Are we awake?
Are we black?
Are we black? Yes, we are. Then yes, we are awake. And very confused. Mongo like candy." I could quote that movie all day. And laugh at, is it Twoo?
You know, his name was Jim.
It's Twoo. It's Twoo. It's so funny. And that's another one of those things where if you have your mindset in this...
That's Headley.
Headley. Watch me faggots. But if you watch this movie, Blazing Saddles, and you have your mindset in this concrete, we don't understand humor, sad sack mentality of today's modern view on things, you're going to be offended by this. But you have to come outside of that, and you have to realize that it's not that way. It's a parody of bigotry. That's why, to me, it's the funniest movie ever made, because I am in no way, no shape, no form a bigot. So this movie is super funny to me because it's the ultimate parody of bigotry. And Mel Brooks and Richard Pryor, who I mentioned on my list, wrote this movie together. And it is the funniest movie ever made.
Yeah. And a thing that doesn't get enough credit in that movie is a person who doesn't get enough credit in that movie is Madeline Kahn. She is funny as fucking.
Oh yeah, she is. Absolutely. That's why I just said it's Twoo. It's Twoo.
Yeah. I'm tired. That's a great bit. Her little burlesque "I'm tired" thing is fucking fantastic. Madeline Kahn was funny as shit. Mm-hmm. She's funny in fucking Young Frankenstein, which is my favorite Mel Brooks movie. And Men in Tights is great. And it's just everything the guy ever did was funny. And a lot of people deadpan it and whatever, but Get Smart was a funny show, I thought.
Right.
like when we'd sit down and watch Nick at Night and they would play Get Smart, I thought Get Smart was a funny show. I mean, Mel Brooks is fantastic. He's still funny. I don't know if you ever watched when he wasn't the person going and getting coffee, but Seinfeld did a comedian getting coffee with Carl Reiner.
Yeah,
and over Carl Reiner's house, and like it was the day that Mel Brooks was gonna come over and watch TV and shit. And it's like Jerry Seinfeld, Carl Reiner, and Mel Brooks just sitting around shooting the shit.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things ever.
And Mel is like still just there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic.
Men in Tights. Men in Tights is like, when people talk about Mel Brooks movies, that's the one I think they talk about the least, but it's so funny.
Yeah?
It's so funny. Abe Lincoln.
Hey, Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln? No! Hey, Lincoln.
Lincoln. You know, they flower her in a tower. Ew.
From this day forward, every toilet in the land shall be known as a John. I have a mole?
When Richard Lewis is in that town, he's like, blow. He's like, no, I mean blow. Like, get out of here. Get out of here.
The only thing I've ever liked Richard Lewis in, because I don't like him. I honest to God, like that movie is the only thing I ever liked Richard Lewis in. He's fucking stupid, but that movie, he's great as John. But yeah, I mean, Mel Brooks, a body of work that cannot be denied, and if you deny it, you don't know humor. Humor.
No matter what I say, no matter what I do not open this door.
Open the door.
Open the door. For the love of God, would you open the goddamn door?
That's another underrated movie.
I know, that's why it's my number one.
And not to mention, also...
When Igor's like, a couple of nasty switches over here, but I ain't gonna be the first. Werewolf. Their wolf.
Another underrated...
What knockers? Well, thank you. When you like to roll in the hay? And then they just like give each other the side eye, and then she's like, roll in the hay.
So silly.
Like that, the putting on the Ritz in Young Frankenstein. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so fucking surreal and just insane, but funny, and oh my god, it's fantastic. Young Frankenstein is like one of the most surreal, weird. It's fucking fantastic. I love that goddamn movie.
Well, and you said open the door. What about Dracula Dead and Loving It with Leslie Nielsen? Open the door. Open the other door. Such good stuff. So, alright, you said Mel Brooks. The next one on my list was, we already discussed him, Groucho Marx. So, what are you down to? You got 2 left, 1 left?
I have 2, but I gotta do a number 1.
Okay.
So I'll be right back. I have to pee.
So Mel Brooks, definitely a legend in making us laugh. And the next one on my list is, and this is second to first on my list, because we've covered everybody that I wanted to cover so far. It is a man who was not only to me a comedian, but also a philosopher, George Carlin.
Yeah, I knew he'd be on your list.
George
He's like your favorite guy.
George Carlin is, to me, again, like I said, not only just a comedian but a philosopher. Like, George Carlin had a way, to me, of looking at life like no one else did. And Carlin was... I'm going to go back to my childhood here, because Carlin was someone who our parents, let me be exposed to, even though some of his stuff was explicit. But I listened to George Carlin very early in my life, and there is something that sticks out to me. It's one of my first comedic memories. It's George Carlin and his, I forget which album it is, to be honest. It's his book club. He has a commercial for a book club, and one of the books that that he advertises on the book is How to Kill a Rat with an Oboe. And that's so funny to me. Or the Rice Krispies. I distinctly heard Snap, Crackle, Fuck Him. You can just sit in the bowl. You can just sit in the bowl and soak in the milk. Or stay on the edge of the bowl and get dry and and then the later stuff, with his commentary on modern civilization, Carlin.
Somebody moved this shit so I can put my stuff down.
Yes, this shit. Everybody else is shit, and your stuff is stuff. Somebody move this shit so I can put my stuff down. Or
everybody's house is just piles of shit. Like, you fly over, you just see little piles of shit. My favorite one is, or not my favorite one, it might be my favorite one, because a lot of times, the first thing you hear is like your favorite or whatever. The thing that when I was a kid, the first thing I heard that I was like, oh, this guy's awesome, is the interview with Jesus.
Mm-hmm. When he's talking about the prayers?
Yeah, or when he's like, like, what would you want? And he was like, like a bicycle. I did a lot of walking. Yeah, I could take a bicycle. Or a Devo hat. Like, Jesus wants a Devo hat.
I just love the prayers thing, like, people used to pray about, how to kill a yak. Just so much good stuff. One of my favorite routines that he does, and I know a lot of people do the 7 words you can't say. But one of my favorites is when he goes through just the complaints that he has, like white guys who turn their baseball caps backwards to be as cool as black guys.
Lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Or like when he got older and he would talk about, death, like this, my latest hobby is scratching off people that I know that have died out of the phone book or whatever. And, younger viewers younger listeners aren't even going to know about a phone book. But just George Carlin, to me, was, again, not just a comedic person, but a philosopher. The smartest, most intelligent comedian, to me, stand-up ever.
He said he'd like to go to the hotel and take a little sewing kit and sew a button to the lampshade just to let people know he was there.
A genius. A genius.
So how many more you got?
I have one more.
Okay, well, I know who it is, so I'll go with my last one that is not Bobby Heenan.
Yes.
And it would be Norm Macdonald. I love Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald is a funny son of a bitch.
Norm Macdonald is the funniest person on the planet.
If you haven't watched his Netflix show, you're missing out, people.
He okay, we'll go with you're talking about Jeff Ross with his roast. If you want to watch the greatest roast performance of all time, it's Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald has the greatest roast performance of all time on the Bob Saget roast. It's fucking fantastic. And if you want to watch one of the greatest comedy bits of all time, you need to watch a stand-up comedy bit of all time. You need to watch his bit about Janice. His bit about Janice is fantastic. And everything the guy does is funny. Everything the guy says is funny. And anybody that says Norm Macdonald isn't funny doesn't know what they're talking about. He is a fucking genius. And I he is the funniest person on the planet, in my opinion.
Funniest living person on the planet?
Yes. Well, the other people are in the planet. Here's some things. Kenny G will be releasing a fully composed CD of Christmas songs. Happy birthday, Jesus. Hope you like crap.
and you have to you have to hear it in Norm Macdonald's delivery.
Yeah. The chick that made the movie with Carrot Top. If you want to watch something funny, watch this Conan O'Brien when he's on anytime he's with Conan O'Brien, it's great. But he's got a great bit of he's on there with her, and he's just the guest, and then she's the second guest. She's talking about the movie. You know the chick I'm talking about?
Yes.
She's on that every the world according or everything according to Jim or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Why did that make you laugh?
According to Jim. Sorry.
Yeah, this is Jim Belushi. You know who Jim Belushi is, right?
I think I do.
Okay, well, she was on that show. I can't remember her name. I'm trying to give you shit so you can Google it and maybe, help me out till I get there.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not Lou Kippelman. Sorry, Barry. Sorry, Baldwin.
Yeah, because Lou Kippelman probably gets paid.
And he has a sexy voice. Oh, God. Keep going.
Well, her name is Courtney Thorne Smith.
All right.
Courtney Thorne Smith is on Conan O'Brien, and she's making a movie with Carrot Top. And Conan, who's also could be on any one of these lists.
Yes.
Okay? Conan's fantastic.
Conan is so good at deadpan.
He's fantastic.
He's a deadpan genius.
He's also a champion of self-deprecating humor.
He is, absolutely.
He will make fun of himself more than he'll make fun of anybody else. But anyway, he's interviewing her, and she can't remember the name of the movie that she did with Carrot Top. And Norm Macdonald goes, "It's got Carrot Top in it, huh?" He's like, "I bet I know the name of it." And she's like, "Oh yeah, what's that?" He's like, "Box Office Poison."
And you know what's great about that one is, I mean, if you know me, I fucking hate Carrot Top.
Yeah, and you can tell that Norm Macdonald does.
That guy's the antithesis of funny. Like, if we were gonna do a top 10 least funny people,
like
he would be.
Norm isn't making fun of her.
No, not at all.
At all. He's making fun of the fact that she made a movie with Carrot Top.
The least funny people in the world are Carrot Top, Samantha Bee, and Trevor Noah. But anyway.
So,
like, there is nobody that can make me reverse laugh than Samantha Bee. That bitch is not funny at all.
Don't really watch her stuff, so I don't know.
She's unfunny. She's the antithesis of funny.
But then later on in this interview, she remembers the name of the movie. And see, Norm had been making fun the whole time. Like when Norm Macdonald's is on a talk show, he, like, I don't know. I mean, I know why, but he's never the second guest, because when he's the first guest, he can't stay out of the interview.
You're right.
You know what I mean? Like he's the guy that doesn't let something go. And that might be part of the reason I like him, because there's times when I say things that probably shouldn't be brought up, but I say it anyway because it's like, no, this needs to be said.
I live this, folks.
And she remembers, Courtney Thorne-Smith remembers the name of the movie as Conan's like, you know, you made a movie with Carrot Top, and she goes, I remember the name of the movie now. He goes, oh yes, what is it? And she goes, Chairman of the Board. And then he looks at Norm and he goes, do something with that, you jerk. And Norm Macdonald goes, I bet the board is spelled B-O-R-E-D. It's fucking great. You want to hear a good joke? Look up Norm Macdonald's moth joke. It's fantastic. You need to set aside 7 minutes, but it's fucking great. Here's some other lines he's got. They say if you're afraid of a homosexual... They say if you're afraid of a homosexual, deep down, you're one yourself. That worries me, though, because I'm really afraid of dogs. He's afraid he's a dog. So funny. You know, the more I learn about... You know, Hitler, the more I learn about that guy, the more I don't care for him.
Oh, God.
And when he would have his little podcast where he'd have fucking people read jokes and shit that he wrote, oh my God, it was so fucking great. I fucking love Norm Macdonald.
I do too.
I've never seen him do something I didn't think was funny.
So I know that number one on both of our lists.
Oh, 5 seconds. You have the face of a flower. A cauliflower. Your face looks like a cauliflower.
You have to hear it in Norm Macdonald's delivery.
Yeah. Bob, you have a lot of well-wishers. Meaning they wish they could throw you down a well. They want to murder you in a well. He is my weekend update guy. Fucking love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would say some shit and the crowd wouldn't boo or the crowd wouldn't react, and he'd fucking react to them not reacting.
This is
or they'd
true.
boo and he'd tell them off and shit. He was great. Go ahead.
So both of our number one is going to be the same guy.
Yeah. I just wrote down lines.
There's only two kind of music I don't like: country and western. And that is Bobby the fucking Brain Heenan is the funniest, sharpest, wittiest human being to ever live. And if anybody tells you different, they are not a wrestling fan. I know all about cheating. I've had 6 successful marriages. That's a Bobby Heenan quote.
Looking good, honey. Who dressed you? The state? Do you know what the bad thing about the Bushwhackers is? That's not even the joke.
I know.
You know the rest of
But
it?
I heard it in his voice. Like, I just heard it in his voice, and I automatically started laughing.
You know what the bad thing about the Bushwhackers is? Huh? Do ya?
What is it, Brain?
Win, lose, or draw, you gotta get everything fumigated afterwards. Gene Okerlund's teaching him how to play golf, and Gene goes, the most important thing is, first address the ball. And Bobby goes, hello, ball.
Or when him and Gorilla go to Busch
Come on,
Gardens.
man. Hello, ball. Jesus Christ. So funny.
That's so funny. Him and Gorilla go to Busch to Busch
I don't want to
Gardens.
find the
I don't want to find the Bushwhackers.
He tells him, shoot that giraffe. It's Ray. It's yeah, it's fantastic.
Fuck.
Right.
He had 9 months to name him, and he named him Bruce.
Yeah, that's on my list. His parents had 9 months, and the best thing they could come up with was Bruce.
Okay, hold on. If you want to laugh at wrestling fans, and you have not seen the Hart Brothers versus Shawn Michaels,
Which we were just talking about.
Look at that. Yeah, check that out. It harkens back to our previous conversation. If you have not watched the Survivor Series 93, Bobby Heenan's commentary about the Hart Brothers and the Hart family is some of the funniest shit you will ever see.
Like, Bobby should have been the person feuding with Brett other than Shawn Michaels. You know, they should have just gave Bobby somebody and let Bobby make fun of Brett.
Let him manage all the nights.
Yeah. That would be fucking great.
Oh. Man.
Money's the same, whether you earn it or scam it. Then Jim Ross says, we call this a slobber knocker back home, Brain. Brain goes, what's that? That's what I thought you called the waitress up there at the Tip Top Cafe in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Slobber knocker.
Remember, folks, fish are like relatives. After 2 days, they stink.
Yeah. Red and Eat is a pest.
And he came up with this shit off the cuff. You know that nobody wrote this shit for Bobby Heenan.
Yeah. Gorilla Monsoon was like, let's go look at a brand new talent to the WWF, Sandy Beach. You know, his sister's a female wrestler. Oh, yeah? What's her name? Kitty Litter.
The Royal Rumble 93. Shawn Michaels throws Marty Jannetty into the ring post, and it is an impactful spot. And Bobby Heenan goes, well, that'll make your shirt fit funny. Oh, man. And the reason I say he's the funniest person ever is because it is all reactionary. This guy makes coffee nervous.
Say, what do you want with your enziguri? A little bit of leg whip?
Yes. It's the dragon screw leg whip.
Dragon screw leg whip. And like I said, I've said this before, but one of my favorite things that he ever did was on a Worldwide Wrestling with Scott Hudson, and it's like a 5-minute match, and Scott Hudson goes, right at the beginning of the match, Hacksaw Jim Duggan's coming out. Scott Hudson goes, Hacksaw Jim Duggan is a very scientific, intelligent wrestler, Bobby. And for the next 5 minutes, Bobby is just like, like this is Scott Hudson's like calling the action. You just hear Bobby in the back like,
I mean, what about at WrestleMania 7? As WrestleMania 17, when Sheiky Baby's coming to the ring, he's like, by the time he gets to the ring, it'll be WrestleMania 37. I think in the same match, he's like, to Jim Duggan, taking a shower is a high-risk maneuver.
yeah. He calls Gene Tony. He did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, what's up, Tony? Like, it's just... he was great.
He was, and that's why I put him in
I'm out here with Eric Bischoff and Bobby the Stein. Oh, that's what we're going to do? We're going to resort to name-calling? I won't have this.
Or that... Probably, other than Raven and Zbyszko, probably my favorite moment in TNA history, Bobby and Tenay. Aaron knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Bobby. Yeah, buddy. Hey, you got $5?
You got $5.
He is bowing to his sister, Ariba McIntyre.
You want to fend me with cash at the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I like when he's like when they're cheering, he's like, oh yeah, you want to fend me with cash? You're just gonna be thrown on the carpet. That'd be all right. Like, don't actually hand it to me. Just throw it on the carpet.
Throw it on the carpet.
One of my favorite things ever is Gorilla and Bobby are at the premiere of No Holds Barred, and they're just like they're like out in the lobby, and it's fantastic all the way through. And like Bobby finally goes to go in the movie, and like he's going with Sharon, and he like walks into the door. You got to see it to get it, but it's fucking fantastic. I mean, everything about Bobby was great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's anybody that is a student of wrestling or a student of comedy that would not say, well, goddamn, this is the funniest. I don't know, like, and we talked about Letterman earlier. David Letterman appreciated Bobby Heenan. You know what I mean? Like David Letterman, if you hear anything about, if you hear any, it's not wrestling when entertainers do it, but a shoot interview with David Letterman. David Letterman will tell you how funny Bobby Heenan was.
Yeah.
And I mean that guy was again. I alluded to it earlier in the show. He's the greatest wrestling performer ever. And he definitely is, to me and Aaron both. This is one thing as brothers, and brothers disagree on a lot of things, but this is one thing that we agree on. Bobby Heenan is the funniest human being that ever lived. I would dare anyone to find anybody that is improvisationally better than Bobby Heenan. Because in wrestling in that era, before everything was corny and scripted like it is now, you had to be improvisational, and Bobby was just the best. Hands down.
Yep.
Well, so at number 1, we are in agreement in a show that has gone a lot longer than I thought it would. But a lot of reflection on comedy here on the show. And Aaron, before we sign off, do you have anything to say to your listeners, my brother?
No, I don't.
Nate's drunk on this episode, so it may sound sloppy. Kind of drunk. But
North Dakota State. What do you have to do there to graduate? Milk a cow with your left hand?
I was just about to talk about the next episode of the show. And the funny thing about the next episode of the show is I don't know what we're going to talk about wrestling-wise, but I do know that pop culture, whatever the fuck kind of culture it is.
Talking about?
I don't know. I said I'm drunk. We are going to discuss our top 10 favorite musical covers of all time. Not the original version of the song, but the cover version of the song. We are going to discuss that, and we'll come up with a wrestling topic. But for the rest of you, Aaron, you said you didn't have anything else for the listeners tonight?
No, not tonight.
All right, well, for that matter, we will sign off here. This has been another edition of the Weekend... What?
I was so nervous on the night of my honeymoon, I put my pants to bed and I hung over the chair.
That might be a compliment. I don't know. But anyway, a drunk host, Nate, is signing off. Your co-host, Aaron, says he has nothing more to say to you. So we are going to sign off for this edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Thank you for joining us for episode 81 of the show. And we will see you next week, on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Thank you very much. Well, there you have it. The unused audio segment between me and Aaron talking about our favorite funny people in the history of ever.
That was fun.
And yes, it was. As it always is. And like I said, had to clean that up a little bit, the audio-wise, but I just left it going off the rails in there, whatever. People are used to it anyway. So, that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining us on this episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Before we sign off, I would be remiss if I did not tell you, if you are not already a member of our Facebook group, hit us up right now. Aaron, you can't get in on it now. It's already been booked. But what I'm saying is you can always get the opportunity to win free shit in the We Can't Wrestle podcast page. Aaron has a tournament going on right now of you pick a former United States champion, people vote, blah, 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 advance to the finals. You can win a free pack of stuff from the We Can't Wrestle podcast. I would also be remiss if I did not mention, if you're not listening already, listen to the 2300 pod. Anywhere that you get your favorite podcast, just like this one, Aaron, myself, and ECW's Chad Austin reviewing week to week the history of ECW. We are reliving ECW, and we'd love you to join that journey with us. Coming up in the next episode, we will be reviewing June 19th, 1993, the Super Summer Sizzler Spectacular from the ECW. You can't say that 5 times fast.
You're right, I can't.
Also, check out, of course, if you're a non-wrestling fan, or if you're a non-wrestling fan, you're not listening to this, but if you want to listen to a non-wrestling podcast, obviously you want to check out the Motley Soup podcast.
Obviously.
And Criminal Wind, which is not me, that is all you.
That is all me, which I'm on a seasonal break for the moment, but I will be back in for season 2 very soon.
Well, there you go.
So there you go.
It'll give you time to catch up.
Yup.
Yeah, there you go. All right. That is all I have for you guys this week. I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we will see you next time around. on the next edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, where we are actually going to review the WWF pay-per-view from 1991 this Tuesday in Texas.
Cool.
Yeah. This Tuesday in Texas, featuring Hulk Hogan versus The Undertaker for the WWF Championship. Until then, thank you for joining me, and we will see you all next time around on the We Can't Wrestle podcast.